approximately? Now at this point you may be thinking, just what in tarnation are them Kuster boys up to now? And we're getting ready to put in the new bin. So the first thing that we got to do is lay down the base, and the base is all gravel. Dad has been taking loads with the Bobcat. We got a couple loads of gravel here. He's been taking the Bobcat over, picking the gravel up and dumping it in here in a circle. They came and laid out the kind of area that it needs to be. Now this base is just going to be kind of like a filler. The bin next to it has the exact same thing. There is a bunch of gravel. Typically in the center it's a little bit lighter in concrete, and then towards the edges is where more of the concrete is, like right there. The forms are not in around the bin yet. Too bad they aren't in, because it would probably make our job easy right now. But we're taking this board around and we're just kind of leveling it off to try to make it as even as possible, and as long as it's approximate, that's really good enough. If one of the reasons that we would do this as far as doing the gravel base is to reduce the cost, because concrete is pretty darn expensive, and by putting gravel in there you're reducing the amount of concrete that you need in the end. And especially with the way that crop prices are right now, it's all about kind of mitigating high costs and doing everything kind of as cheap as possible while still being effective. Now something like this, I don't know, I would expect that just pure concrete would last longer, but like I said before, you kind of have to weigh the costs and benefits of using all gravel versus using all concrete versus gravel. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun little adventure. Not totally sure when the official date for putting the bin is up yet, but we're just kind of working on this right now. And then when they get this time, they're going to come through and pour the concrete, level it all off so it's nice and smooth like that bin. Well, we got the base all level-ish, and it looks pretty good. We just went around with that board and smoothed it all off. It doesn't have to be perfect, but there's some good thunder coming. So I'm going to put the 40/20 back in the shed, and I got to feed Fritz, hopefully before that rain reaches us, because that is like downpouring over there. Can't say that it isn't needed though, because the corn and beans honestly could use some rain. You can't see it now, but there's definitely some heat stress on the beans down here. Chris. Prince, come on, right into the barn. Fritzy, come here. How many feet out are we?
18 feet 9 inches.
8 feet. All right. Yeah.
2 inches here yet.
I think we can tell. So we got the bin foundation all laid out. We got the rebar all set up. So what the rebar is for is to provide the bin with reinforcement. The rebar reinforces the concrete. It gives it more compression strength and more tensile strength. Now the compression strength of concrete is right around 4,000 psi. It can be a few thousand psi more or less, kind of depending on how it's mixed and how it's reinforced, such as this. And the tensile strength of concrete is much less, which is, tensile strength is the ability of the concrete to resist being pulled apart and broken. And that sits right around 400 psi. So the tensile strength is much less than the compression strength. And we have plenty, that's one of the reasons why we use concrete, is because of that compression strength. But over time, the pad will have to flex and it'll bend and it'll be heaved from frost and everything else. So by reinforcing it with this rebar, it kind of limits the cracks that can form. It kind of helps reduce the amount that the concrete cracks over time. Even this pad has some cracks in it, but they're not severe. And this one has the same kind of treatment. The rebar is actually stuck into the ground around the sides. And when we pour it, it'll be level with the top of the forms here, and it'll go all the way across. Now we got to figure out a way. We're probably going to get some bricks or something so that we can lift this rebar up off the gravel. The gravel is essentially just a filler, and the rebar is meant to reinforce the concrete itself. So we want to have that concrete, or the rebar, kind of halfway up into the concrete. What we did was we actually had to go through and re-level off the concrete again, because when we used this board, it really wasn't the best way of doing it, because the board flexed and it really didn't give us a very, very accurate level surface. So we just went across and we measured from a beam that we put across from the top of the form over to the bar that's in, or the rod that's in the center, and then that way we had a way to kind of measure equally across the top of the bin. So the depth of the concrete from the gravel up to the top of the pad, concrete pad, is going to be roughly 6 to 7 inches, and that's the difference that we had, or the space that we left, or what I should say is that's how much lower the gravel sits from the forms. So I don't know, it's looking pretty good. This bin is going to sit just a little bit lower than this bin over here. This bin really should have been dug down into the ground a little bit. It's sitting up on top of a hill and there's a lot of concrete exposed. This one is still sitting on top of the ground, but we wanted it a little bit lower to get the bin up to the same height. Even though it would have looked better, it would have taken, I think Dad said, like 36 inches of concrete, and to him it just wasn't worth it just to have the bins level and all pretty. So looks pretty good. They're going to be here at 8:30 in the morning. So yeah, I'm gonna make the third part of this video about pouring concrete. Then after that, the concrete is just going to have to cure, and then it'll be time to put the bin on in the next coming few weeks here. So this is part 1 in how to build a bin. So I'll see you guys in the morning. Bard Materials is going to be bringing a few cement trucks down, and they're going to be pouring the cement for the pad in a few minutes. So let's go out and wait for them to show up. ahead, mess up. The world is watching.
When isn't the world watching?
Eight, Travis.
I know, it's just I don't want to. Doing 8 in concrete with a knife is especially easy, right? Do I do 2 circles or I just do like an ass? 2 circles? How do you draw a circle? Did you go left to right or right to left?
I think it's right
That's
on the middle.
sarcasm for any of you viewers out there.
Tell him you did it.
We'll put the blower over top of this.
Lo and behold, we have the concrete pad all poured for the new 20,000 bushel grain bin. So we're gonna let this cure for a while before we actually go ahead and start setting up the bin. I think they're probably gonna come back tomorrow and take the forms off, and yeah, it's looking pretty good. So be sure to stay tuned to How Farms Work as we continue this series of building a grain bin. Should be pretty exciting. I'm excited to have another bin here because, especially having a bin like this where there's an unloading auger on it, it just makes our life so much easier because we can hold so much more corn. We can move so much more corn more quickly, especially with the trucks. We can have them come and really they can take corn as fast as they can load it. So I don't know, I'm looking forward to building it. I guess I should say I'm looking forward to being done building it, because this one last time wasn't so much fun, but I think this one's going to be a tad bit easier considering we aren't putting a stirrator in it. Stirrators are just kind of a pain, even though they are pretty nice. I am a little worried about not putting one in because with, you know, with real wet corn or something, you could have issues in there, and it's just nice having the stirrator because you can break all that junk up, and you know that when you unload you're not going to have any bridged corn because you can just turn that stirrator on. It'll mix everything up and everything's good. With a bin like this, we're going to have to be a little bit more cautious with that because bridging could happen. You do hear about it happening. With all of our bins, other bins that we have, it's not really much of an issue because, you know, we do have the stirrators. So should be pretty good. We've also poured this little concrete pad over here. Now this pad we're going to come over and pick up with the skid loader and put it in place. This is going to be the pad that the blower is going to sit on. We're going to build a stand for it. Oh, I guess I left my small drone out here. We poured a pad for the other grain bin's dryer blower over here, and you can tell that the plywood that we used bent outward, so it's not exactly a square shape. But anyway, yeah, I'll let you all go. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check out all of our other ones. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, all How Farms Work. And if you're interested in supporting How Farms Work, consider becoming a member. I'm going to be posting my rewind, what I have done so far here in the next coming weeks. It's going to be a pretty darn good video, I think. I'm kind of going around asking for favors from people I know to help me get the shots that I want. And everything's looking pretty good. So I'm excited to get the other bin up. Thanks for watching, guys.